Good morning, guys. I got Gavin back there on the bed. Kaylee. She's like right behind me in the crate, right there. We're in the van. And so you may see her sit up or whatever. And then Spike's in the house. I'm pet sitting for a friend of mine. And this video is, by the way, excuse this. I woke up not that long ago, haven't showered, nothing. So this video is about, should you van life with your significant other? Someone was asking me that, like, hey, I'm in a relationship, I want to go hit the road with my significant other. I'm gonna say yes and no to do it. I think if you want to get married, do it, because I feel like if you guys want to go down the road of life, and I feel like living the van life with your significant other, say boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you guys want to call each other, your partner, I feel like if you want to go down that road, living the van life will definitely test your limits. It will take your relationship to a whole other level you could never imagine. It will definitely test your limits and your patience and make you really realize if you're right for each other. It's a hard life, you know. I find it easier than normal like house or apartment life. Jeff finds it a lot harder, but he's always lived in a home, like pretty much the same house since growing up, since like a little kid. So for some people, that's another thing. So if you moved around a lot as a kid or as a young adult, the adaptation to like van life, nomad life shouldn't be that hard. If you're the kind of person that stayed in one town and only moved once or twice in your life, it is hard, always like on the go. Also, if you're trying to destroy an end relationship, like maybe you're with someone and you're like, I don't know how to get out, and you want to end the relationship, do the van life thing, because it'll definitely push people to the limits, and it'll be like, I don't want to do this, I'm out. You know, you guys will like reevaluate your relationship a lot. What? She's probably gonna talk a lot now because it's morning time. She likes to talk in the morning. Yeah, what else you gotta say? Doing it with your brothers is hard? I know, it's not fair. I know. I know. She's like, what? Why I gotta be the one in the crate? I know. What else? I know. What else happened? Oh. Gavin just watched this now. Where's your singing? Can you sing? Oh, just pet me now. Just pet me. Stop talking about that stuff she says, Mom. Yeah, she's super talkative in the mornings. Right now, she's kind of like probably telling me she needs to go out potty. So I will do that as soon as we're done with this video. Anyways, yeah, that's her getting like loud, demandy. Hey, trying to tell me something. We'll go in a minute, okay? But yeah, she's pretty talkative in the mornings, and then sometimes before bed too. Other than that, she's pretty decently quiet, you know, but she's loud when she does talk. Anyways, so yeah, if you wanted to end a relationship, do the van life thing, because it will test you guys' limits. It's not for everybody. There's probably a really small percentage that could do it. I think too, it kind of helps if you guys already lived together for a while, even maybe say 6 months or a little bit more. If you guys already lived together for a while, moving into the van life isn't that hard. But if you guys are like, say, a couple that hasn't been together that long and haven't lived together yet, there's a lot of things you need to already be comfortable with. Can you guys already like go to the bathroom in front of each other? Because that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people. When I think I first started dating Jeff a couple years ago, oh my god, these freaking birds that just like always sit on my side view mirrors and sit on the roof. I'm like, what is with my van? They're always like, I always attract so many birds onto my van for some reason. We think it was like piled with bird seed or something. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, distracted. And then there's chickens outside. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking to do video in the van? Between Kaylee, the birds, the chickens, life happens. And so yeah, you guys have to be like already comfortable with getting dressed in front of each other and using the restroom in front of each other and being around each other like 24/7. I think that's a good trial too. Is also if you're like in a relationship, or you got to be able to be used to each other already, being around each other like 24/7. I say maybe try living in your bathroom for a couple weeks. Just take all your necessities and you guys live in your bathroom for a couple weeks maybe, and that will give you an idea. If you can do that, then you can probably live in a van together. You have to think too, what are you guys' schedules? So if you are, say, live in the city and one of you works 8 hours a day, maybe the other one works from home, then it's good because you have that time apart from each other. So it's not so bad. But if you guys both are working from home and you're kind of around each other, kind of like, you know, normally, but you have different rooms, now you have to understand when you live in the van, you're really going to be like in the same place. Or, I mean, you can go to a cafe, you can go to the park. You have to figure out how you guys are going to each have a little bit of your personal time, you know, and coordinate that. And you got to kind of be good with schedules. It's tricky too with the different work you guys may do. So like, I'm a pet sitter, dog walker, and I have a very erratic schedule. I have to go and come when needed based upon what my client's needs. But then it's good because I can do pet sits like I am now for a friend of mine, and then Jeff and I have a little bit of space apart and everything else, but then it's also hard on him. But then also, like, he does gardening, landscaping, so, you know, our schedules are totally different. But then it gets hard too, because where are you? What time are you going to be done? Let me go by and get you. Vice versa. We have 2 vehicles. Actually, Jeff has more, but really just between the van and his work truck, that we have 2 vehicles. We always have to be finding a place to park or leave or take with us, or 2 vehicles driving wherever to whatever location. It's a hassle, you know. I also say, before you guys go out and say, oh, let's get an RV or a van and spend all that money, not knowing what that life is going to entail, no matter how much you research it, actually doing it's a whole other ballgame. You could research and read 24/7 for 6 months, but then all of a sudden when you have to live it, it's a whole other ballpark. You're like, oh my gosh, you know, totally different for everybody. I would have to say the first 2 to 3 months were hard for me, but I had moved into a bus, so that was a whole different ballgame. But I would say, instead of spending the big bucks, instead of being like, oh, let's save money and buy a Class B RV or buy a Class C RV thinking you need all that space, I would say start out in the car you guys have, or the minivan, or the SUV that you guys have. If both of you drive really teeny tiny cars, just go rent a U-Haul truck or U-Haul van for like a week or something. Or there's RVs you can rent too. But instead of wasting all that money, like really, if your end game is kind of like you want to do van life, then yeah, start with kind of the vehicle you guys have. Possibly whoever has maybe the slightly bigger vehicle might work. Or, you know, just start with what you have and put inside your basic necessities, like clothes, maybe a little bit of food, snack food. Think if you went out camping out of your car, that's basically what you need. You know, some water, ice chest, 50-50. You know, it depends if you live in a city or more rural area, I guess. And I would say maybe start out, take it 1 week at a time. Maybe start out parking around in your own, like, not really your own neighborhood. I mean, you could, but maybe a little bit farther out. Maybe walk around where you live a lot more. You start to see little spots, like, maybe I could park over there, you know, and then kind of do that for maybe a week or 2. Just take it week by week. See how you guys are. I think it is easier. I personally think it's easier for guys to live the van life because I think guys' necessities are a lot simpler. And something else too you guys need to think about is your habits, your daily habits. Do they coincide with each other? Is it something you could do while hitting the road? So for example, Jeff is like obsessed with coffee. He has it. He's used to having a coffee pot at home, like a large one, that he makes coffee in the morning and then drinks it through the whole freaking day. So that's his addiction. That's his habit. That's what he needs. So every morning, he doesn't make the coffee in the van quite yet. We're not really to that point yet. So we drive to Starbucks or whatever place. So that's going to be money you need to budget for. And we drive to whatever place, Pete's, whatever. There's so many coffee places where we live. It's ridiculous. And then he fills up his thermos, has it for the day. Probably 2 more times or 1 more time, he will stop at some coffee place and get coffee again. So you got to think about kind of your habits. I mean, do you guys smoke? Do one of you smoke? Now the other one is in total close proximity with that habit. So you have to think too, how clean are you guys? How organized are you guys? Are you minimalist, but then the other one's a hoarder? I think a lot of these are not much different than if you were to get a house or an apartment together, but I think it definitely makes it a lot harder, tighter of a squeeze living in a small vehicle or RV, van, whatever. I've met a couple people that never really lived like out of their cars, never been homeless, always kind of had a place, and then they want to hit the road with, say, their girlfriend or wife, and they go out and buy like a big old 24-foot RV or something. You gotta kind of think about the kind of girl you have. If you have the like get down and dirty kind of girl, we're talking about like owns a pair of hiking boots that have a ton of miles on them, she'll probably adapt pretty easily. I mean, I think it helps if you guys go out into nature at least on the weekends, and maybe do certain things like, say, mountain bike or hike, or they like dogs, because kind of those types of people will adapt to this life pretty easily. People that are okay getting a little dirt under their nails, or people that don't worry about hair, like pet hair, for example, if you live with a pet, and you're gonna bring your pet with you, or people that aren't germaphobes and don't really worry about dust and dirt, then they should do fine, because when you live in like an RV or van, it's just kind of always got dust, it's always got like pet hair everywhere, it happens. So being not a germaphobe kind of helps, because now you don't, like at home, you'd always run to the sink and wash your hands. You'd always run to the sink and clean this and clean that and have endless amounts of water. And if you are a guy with a girlfriend or wife, you have to think kind of about her needs. Some girls are very much into, I have to curl my hair every day. I have to have a straight iron. I have to have a blow dryer. Like, if they're a super prissy girly girl, it's probably not gonna happen. If it's more like the rough and tumble kind of girl, tomboy girl, I would probably say, she'll probably do fine. And it doesn't matter the size of your vehicle. So it's not like, oh, we'll be easier having a bigger vehicle because now we have space. It'll be like a home. I think it's harder. I think it's more stressful. I think it's more costly that way. I think it's a lot more to take care of. I think it's easier to start smaller, adapt to that, and then decide to go bigger if you really need to. I think it's a lot cheaper to just kind of start smaller. So, because I did both. I had a 24-foot bus, and then I shrunk down to my current van, which is just like 17 foot in length, a passenger van. And but before I bought my bus, I actually lived out of my Mitsubishi Lancer for a short while. But it was fine, because growing up as a kid, there's times we were homeless. There's times we lived in studios. There's times we lived in shelters. There's times we lived in huge 2-story houses with like 4 or 5 bedrooms. So I've lived in everything. I've moved around so much. So for me, it was no problem. No big deal. I like to be a minimalist anyways, the best I can. Sorry this video is getting long and off topic, I think, maybe. But So you guys got to think about your hobbies too. What kind of stuff do you guys like to do? Do those hobbies take up a lot of time and energy and resources? Do you need a place to do those hobbies? Some people take the total plunge and they sell their house, they leave their apartments, hit the road, and had bought their vehicle, say a van or RV, hit the road and do awesome and never look back. Now, there are some of those people that seem to do that for just a year or two. I don't think you should put a stamp of good till date. I don't think you should limit yourself to be like, well, we'll do this for 6 months or we'll do this for a year. I guess some people need to do that. It depends if you're making this as a lifestyle choice or if you're making it as, well, we want to save money or we want to go on an adventure. So then your priorities are totally going to be different. And, you know, your rig, van, RV, whatever, is totally going to be different too, you know? And you have to think, are you going to stay more city life and still maintain your normal life? Say, going to work, maintaining your friendships, all those sort of things. Are you going to still stay in your same town? Are you guys going to be like, no, we want to hit the road and now we will go live on BLM land or go travel across the state? So you guys got to think about that too, which I think it helps too, taking a couple of road trips ahead of time because you're in that confined area. So if you guys could travel on a road trip pretty well, that could be a good indication. How do you guys like cook? Do you love to cook? Are you gonna be able to do that on the road? Me, I'm not the biggest of cook. I like to eat, and if someone makes me something, I'm okay with cleaning up just because I don't really care to cook anymore. I love to bake though. Anything with sweets, I'm like, oh, I'll do that. I like cooking sweets because it's my favorite food group. And I love like cooking frozen pizza. Sounds crazy, but I make the best frozen pizza. But anyways, I'm not the biggest of cooks. I just like to eat, you know. I want to be like catered on, you know. I like something different to eat at every meal. But then I have like my favorite 5 foods I pretty much eat. It's like pizza and burritos, Panda Express, and a couple other things, you know, that I pretty much always like go down the list. I just want American food, Jeff says. Anyways, yeah, you have to think too, if you have pets, you know, if you're gonna just try it for a couple weeks, maybe you get a pet sitter, maybe someone can watch your pet for a while. But if you really think, okay, I want to do this for several months, a couple years, take the pet you have with you. There's a lot of videos out there on it. For the cat stuff, I don't have a cat. I don't know how your cat's gonna adapt. Dogs, I think it's a lot easier because dogs are like, yeah, let's just go and go on adventures. But I think it helps to, I will do some videos eventually about like how to get your dog adjusted to van life, you know. So look forward to that sometime in the future. Yeah, so you have to think how you're going to incorporate them into your vehicle and that lifestyle. You have to now think your resources. So if you're going to be in the city, I think it's like a big major city. I think it's a lot easier because there's always places to get water. There's always gyms to shower. Dumping, if you have a toilet, you got to think what kind of toilet you're going to have. I think it's a good thing. A small toilet. One of these days I'll do a video about it. So yeah, you got to really be pretty comfortable with the person you're with. And I think number one key thing in a relationship is being able to talk and share and talk about your thoughts and your feelings. It's called communication. I think it's the hardest thing for anybody to do. And I think being blatantly honest is the best thing. Don't sugarcoat shit, people. Just be real, you know? Yeah, so I feel like too, for first timers, as awesome as it would sound and seem, to, oh, let's build a van and then live in it and hit the road. I think there are people that could do that, and that's great. But I think it really, really tests a relationship to be able to do that. I think you had to be a certain type of couple to be able to do that. So I would say that's a really small percentage amount of people that are able to do that. So I personally think it's just easier to just keep, like, if you're gonna get a van, keep it very simple. Just take out maybe 1 or 2 of the bench seats. You just need a little bed. You can always sit in the front seats. You gotta just keep it very minimal. Just work with what you have first. Live in your vehicle for a while first before deciding, oh, let's remodel it and build all these things. You don't need it, trust me. And then your needs are going to change several times. You're going to start to evolve. And I mean, I've remodeled my van probably 3 or 4 different times. This last layout that I have, I think works the best. But there's still a couple things I still plan to change out, you know? But I find it's actually one of the best layouts. You'll see when I do a tour one day. So, you gotta think too, you guys' sleeping schedules. You know, if you don't live together, how do you guys sleep together? Because now you're gonna be on a probably smaller of a bed. How respectful are you guys to each other's spaces? Can you read each other's cues when you're frustrated? Can you guys talk it out? Will you guys be okay with one person like, I need some space, I'm gonna go for a walk, and the other person being okay by themselves in the van? I think, like most things in life, you just really have to take it day by day. I think that's like the best advice. Don't set goals. Don't be like, well, I want to have this or that vehicle, RV, whatever, by such and such. Didn't know. Just bring it down. Keep it simple. Helps. And I think just take it day by day, because it's going to be a learning experience. And I think it could be a little bit easier if one person has already lived that nomad life and then the other person joins them. If you guys both have no clue but are super intrigued by the lifestyle, I think it could be a little bit harder, a little bit challenging. Don't always follow what everybody else is doing out there. I mean, I think it's a good, maybe it's like if you didn't know how to swim, you kind of saw other people swimming, you're like, okay, I sort of get the idea, but then you're not going to know till you actually do it. So sometimes seeing other people do it or researching about it, whatever, kind of helps. But I think you kind of have to go with your gut instincts, you know? I think that kind of really helps better for anything in life, pretty much. Go at your own pace. It's not about making everything look glamorous. It's about real life, you know? You can do it on very little money, so it's not always even a money issue, as long as you kind of got enough to fix your vehicle when it does break down, then you should be good. As long as you currently are working of some sorts, you could kind of even live this lifestyle working part-time. I work part-time. Well, my schedule's all over the place, but anyways, I can work part-time, let's say, in the Bay Area, California, doing this. So true, I'm self-employed, so I make my own rates, my own hours, but I could be able to survive paying gas and with 3 dogs and all my daily expenses and all my normal bills, like car insurances and all that other kind of stuff. So it is totally possible. There are some people, don't push don't be like everybody else, like, oh, now I need to have an Instagram and I need to have a Facebook and a Patreon, and no, just live your life, you know, just enjoy the simplicity, figure it out for yourselves, how you guys want to do it, live your own life, you know, don't worry what everybody else is doing in this lifestyle of nomad living. Trying to think of anything else. I guess that might be it. I'm sure I may think of other things. Yeah. So I'll probably end up thinking of other things as soon as I end this video, but it's already so long for you guys. I'm really sorry. I know I just rambled, but I speak from the heart. I speak from life experiences. Yeah, oh, some people too think they need a gun out there. No, just a good guard dog or two is really good, actually. You know, even Big Kaylee, who looks kind of wolfy looking, people are like, whoa, she's actually the sweetest dog. But, you know, she looks pretty intimidating. So between the three of them, they know how to work as a pack, and they're pretty much a deterrent. But no, you don't need to hit the road like, oh, I need a gun and all. Don't get a gun unless you're gonna freaking use it. And then there's a whole other rules of things for that based upon wherever you live. But I don't think you need those sort of things. I actually feel safer like in the van than most houses, to be honest. So anyways, so yeah. Also, if I didn't already mention, one last thing. If you guys are gonna hit the road together as like a couple, you have to, I think it kind of helps just like house life. It's a lot like house life, just on a smaller scale. How you guys are gonna like pay the bills, because there are gonna probably be bills like every time you go to the store or every time you fuel up your gas tank, things like that. Also the chores are chores just like in a house, like dumping the toilet if you have a toilet, cleaning the outside of the van if you ever do. I'm pretty bad about that. I'm conserving water. And, you know, if you have dogs, who's going to take care of, like, walking them, feeding them, that sort of thing. Maybe who's going to do the cooking and who's going to do the cleaning, who's going to sweep the floors, who's going to vacuum out the inside of the van, who's in charge of doing the laundry. Like, do you split? Those are kind of, like, things maybe you should make, like, think about the lifestyle if you guys live together already. Now, just think of it on a smaller scale. You're pretty much going to have almost the same responsibilities. It's just not like as grand. You just won't have a yard to have to do, and you won't have as many bills. And you now are going to be your own housekeepers. Before, maybe you paid for a housekeeper, you know. Now you have to like go to the laundromat to do your laundry. Things like that, you know, you have to kind of think about too. Like I said, take it one day at a time. There may be things you like don't think about, and then you're like, oh look, now we need to do this or that chore. So who's gonna be in charge of that? Like if you're gonna stay in one vehicle together, there's gonna be stuff like oil changes or repairs. Are you gonna go halves on that? Is the vehicle to one person and the other person's coming along for the ride? You know, those are things you need to think about. And if it doesn't work out, don't be discouraged. See it as a learning experience. If one person's like, this is my goal in life, I want to live the nomad life, and the other person's like, oh, I don't know, well, I'll try it. Don't be upset when the other person doesn't really want to do it. It's just not for them. You know, it's okay. You guys will just have to reevaluate life and things when you get to that point. Don't be mad that they don't want to share the same interests as you. That's just, you know, their personal preference. Like, there's not much you can do about that. That's okay. That's like some people like apartments, some people like houses. It's a lot like that, you know. And if it turns out, you know, that's why I say maybe try it for a couple weeks. Like, don't end your lease where you live. Don't sell your house yet. I say try it for a couple weeks. You know, maybe try it for a month. Yeah, it kind of would suck to pay rent. Maybe you could get someone to borrow the house or pay for a month or something while you guys hit the road. Or if you want to hit the road for a couple months, maybe still keep your place and then sublease it or something, you know? So you still have that to fall back on if things just don't work out, you know? And you have to think, okay, well, if you guys ended your lease and then decided to hit the road, okay, now if it didn't work out, what's going to happen is one person going to stay in the vehicle and then the other person's going to go back to apartment life or renting a room somewhere. What, you know, that's kind of things you have to think about and be honest about, you know, because sometimes this lifestyle isn't for everybody. For some people it's really hard, or maybe for them it's hard financially because it's just a whole different set of types of bills and things, and for some people it's not worth it. Some people, once they get the hang of it and kind of get into a groove and pattern and schedule of things, it kind of becomes like pretty easy. And they're like, why didn't I do this ages ago? You know? Some people do it maybe like, let's say where they live, the winter sucks. So they'll do it through the winter time and travel somewhere nice and warm. If that's an option, that's awesome. Yeah, so I guess that's my advice. And so far, I will probably do a video about, I guess, what it's like for Jeff and I to do this for a month now, little over a month now, just barely. Yeah, I'll probably do a video on what that's been like, you know, for us and with the dogs and everything. But thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry this is kind of a long video. I just kind of wanted to just speak out of personal experience and being a nomad like this for 5 years, but kind of even before that in my life, I want to say, but really, you know, taking that plunge like 5 years ago and doing this nomad life, doing it for 5 years, like my personal experience, like through the years, and now being in a relationship. And I think I will definitely do another video. I have a whole list of videos to do, but I will probably do another video too, what it's like when one person lives a van life and the other person doesn't. You know, how that can like be on a relationship too. So totally thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Anything you guys want to add, we all would love to like see and share and all that good stuff. So of course there's comments. I always read the comments. I always do. I love what you guys post. I have some of the smartest viewers, I want to say, and you guys are always like so sweet and so nice. And I know I always feel like one of these days I will sit down and just like reply to everybody. And I do here and there. I'm bad. I'm honest about it at least, and I do read everything. And other people read it too, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I need to try to get to be better about that. I don't know if I should just probably should just put it on my schedule, make it happen. You know, if it doesn't get on my schedule, it doesn't happen. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. And the dogs are still sleepy mode a little bit, you know, but bye everyone. Have a good rest of the weekend. Bye.